All right, let's say your name is Skinny Rat, all right? And you suck at this encounter called the biscuit, which is a speedrun strat that people use in the raid Crota's End to skip the first encounter of the raid called Abyss by taunting in the beginning of the raid and then skating over the entirety of the encounter and then dropping down and going to the end of the encounter and completing it in a sum of probably 2 minutes and 30 seconds on average. So this video will basically show you how to hit the skip fast. Now, if you're able to do it, but don't know how to do it fast, if you're slow at it, you can only hit, let's say, 120s, 110s, which isn't bad at the beginning, but you really want to get it down, then this video is for you. Now, you're obviously, if you're going to want to hit a good abyss skip, you're going to have to get good at skating. Double skating or just jitter skating, it doesn't matter. If you're not using a macro, you need to know how to skate. That is something you have to work on yourself. You can figure out which way you want to do that. With claw or just your thumb. You need to figure out how to skate fast on your own. And this video will be here for you if you need this video to help you get fast at a biscuit once you know how to actually skate fast. Now, if you can skate fast, and you know how to do a biscuit, you just need to know how to get maybe sub 110, sub 15, really cut down on time, even get 159, get around there. Then this video is perfect for you. I'm going to show you how to hit a biscuit, a wall bounce, every single time with a macro. It is very easy with a macro. It's not going to be fast. You're not going to hit 58s, 59s all the time with a macro. You're not going to hit a 58, but you'll probably hit 59s from there to there with a macro, but it'll definitely help you hitting it consistently almost every time, since obviously with a macro, your bursts are never going to be different. They'll always be the same. So all you have to do is aim in the right spot. And when it comes to using sleeper skating, which is the other option, you're going to need to know how to double skate. And so I'll also show you where to aim. But obviously, it won't be 100% consistent because we're all human and we can't hit fucking perfect bursts every time. So obviously, I won't hit the wall bounce every single time, correctly every time, but I can show you which spot to aim in with the sleeper to actually hit it correctly. And what to do if you miss it, if your skates are going to be bad and you need to hit an early wall bounce or a late wall bounce to actually get a run in. Or just if you miss the wall bounce completely and you get stuck on it, you're just going to have to go straight to the drop down zone. So in this video, I'm basically going to show all of that. So here we go. Now when you're doing a biscuit, the most important step is to always have catapult on and striker, so you have the lowest agility and you're always touching the ground the lowest you can, and to have shoulder charge on when you are sleeper skating. Now the beginning of the biscuit will include the climb of the hill to get to the breach area. Now it seems simple, but it's very easy to mess up if you go all the way high. Like you can lose probably 2 seconds or just 1 second just from not breaching immediately after you climbing the hill, but you go all the way up, you jump up too high. So in the red zone, that's where you want to be holding A, okay? So that's where you climb. Red zone is the climb area. And then the green zone is where you're going to release A. Anywhere in the green zone, you release A as soon as possible. Do not do it like anytime after. Like the minute you see you hit the green zone, release A. And you'll land on the top of the hill consistently. I am telling you. Now, to make sure that you do this every time, you're going to need a gun with light weight. This is going to make it easy. You don't need it, but it can be any primary gun with light weight. Now, it's going to make it a lot easier. Like I said, you don't need it. You can still do it with sleeper or sword, but it's going to make it so much more consistently. So you see every single time, shooting this, I was shooting right where the green zone is. I release A right where I shot, and I landed it perfectly. I'm not going all the way up. I just land, and right when I land, I could just press B and emote immediately. And then I would be dropping down already. I wouldn't be wasting any time just going up in the air randomly. As long as I hit the release A in the green zone after my climb, I'm going to be there consistently every single time. It's going to be very hard to mess up if you're able to release A at the right time every time. Now, sometimes you're going to mess up here and there, but it's fine. And here I'm showing that you can still do it with a sword. It is possible, obviously, but it's not always going to be consistent. That's why you're always going to have a sword out, because you are going to be orbiting some runs if you don't have your primary out and you have sleeper out, because you're not always going to reach it. Let's say you get blocked by a teammate or something and you have to jump from farther back. you're not going to make that with a sleeper. Sword up the time, and you're going to have to RB with the sword. It's a time loss. So you're just not even going to make it with the sleeper, okay? Now, for all the macro boys, here's the favorite part of the video for you guys. This is how to hit the top skate very consistently. See, this is Skinny Rat. He's a macro boy. This video is for you. Look at Skinny Rat. He's so cute. Anyway, so basically, you're going to breach down here. And when you're using a macro, you're going to want to RB right where I did every time. Because when you use a macro, do not use sleeper. Don't use sleeper. You cannot double skate with a sleeper. Okay, there is no point. You're going to hit the same top skate every single time with sword or a sleeper, regardless of what you use. Just use a sword because it's going to make the top drop faster, okay? So just use a sword every time and do exactly what you just saw right now, okay? Now, this is what the macro top skate will always look like. You're always going to hit wall bounce like this if you aim exactly where I am. You're not going to go into a super deep turn back, but you're going to hit it every single time. Now, when you're skating towards the wall bounce, you'll be able to see these little squares in the abyss. Now, you see the two lines right next to my cursor, and right in the middle of like the cursor, like you see the little line to the left, you want to line that up right above the second square in the corner or the second line. And if you have it lined up exactly like that, as long as you have it lined up some point during your skate, you're going to hit a perfect, not a perfect wall bounce. Let's say it's perfect, okay? You're going to hit a wall bounce every single time. Every single time. If you have it lined up at least after 3 bursts of your initial skate, if you have that lined up, you're going to hit a wall bounce almost every single time. Either you're going to get stuck once in a while, or you're going to hit it every single time. Because you have a macro, your bursts are never going to be indifferent. They're always just going to... What? No, your skates are never going to be different, yo, okay? Okay? You're going to hit it every single time. Just aim where I showed you, okay? You're going to drop down right where I did. You're going to RB, bing, bam, boom, you breach, and then you always do a double burst for the first half of bottom skate. And then, I mean, you don't need to, but if you're just trying to hit it consistently, just do a single burst. Now, for sleeper skating, same thing, but you're going to want to aim at the same place, same exact place, but this is like if you have perfect bursts, okay? Because with a macro, you also have perfect bursts, but sometimes you're not going to have perfect bursts with sleeper double skating, okay? But you want to aim in practically the same place. Me personally, I aim a little bit above sometimes. It depends on my initial skate or where I land and where I load in, like which way I'm looking. Because sometimes if I garrison to the right or the left, I have to go back into a straight line from the right or the left. And so it's a little bit slower to get to the actual wall bounce. So it really depends. But you really want to aim the same place with the bottom left of your cursor for sleeper. And same thing. At least have it, I would say 2 for sleeper skating, but 2 or 3 bursts, have it lined up once you start looking down. Now make sure your bursts are consistent when going towards the wall, and you will hit it. Do not be scared. Just go with it. Don't move your cursor. You have to trust the process, okay? If you know your skates are fast, don't move. If you move, you're going to mess it up. I've done that so many times. Just keep going in the same direction towards the wall, and you will know when you hit it. It will look exactly like that. Now, when you hit it too early, it'll look like this. You're gonna see where the line goes. I don't have a clip of it, but basically you're gonna have to aim more to the right. When you're looking too far to the right, like let's say you're not lined up, you're looking too far to the right, you're gonna hit the wall earlier because obviously it's gonna be a shorter line. So that means if you hit a wall earlier, you get an early wall bounce. You're not gonna be able to be in turn back for as long because you're gonna have to hit turn back earlier. So that means this is gonna be a slower skate, but this is what you have to do. Just don't go into turn back as much. Go more to just when you move around from the wall bounce and you go towards the turn back, aim more to the right, okay? And then everything else will be the same. It's the opposite for a late wall bounce. A late wall bounce is when, let's say your bursts are bad. That's the most common cause for a late wall bounce. So you have to hit the wall bounce still, but you have to hit it later because so that means, let's say you were aiming in the same spot for the normal wall bounce, but you have a bad burst. You just aim a little bit more to the left and you add one more burst, and you'll still hit the wall bounce, but you'll be in you hit the wall bounce later, and it won't be as good, but you can just aim more to the left and make sure you're dropping down in the right spot every time. And for the final part of a biscuit, which is the drop to breach and then bottom skate, you're always going to want to shoulder charge or RB or slash or just RB when you're using a sword for macro or jitter skating. You're just gonna want to always do it right above like the spawn room. If you know the spawn room right next to the breach, you want to do it like above there. So I kind of always have it. There's like a little crack between the floor and the spawn room when I'm able to like easily garrison in between. So I'm able to get like a really low garrison and RB into the room like really quick. So I always do it like, at least don't do it all the way to the right where you shoulder charge or RB, because then you're going to have to sword fly all the way to the breach and you lose like 5 seconds. They're going to save so much time if you just RB or shoulder charge in the correct spot, because you just had drop down in a straight line and then you get to the breach. You do a garrison, you hold A if you're far away from the breach, and you press RB and then you just breach, okay? Very simple. It's actually, you gain so much time if you do it correctly instead of just going all the way to the right or just dying because you go too much to the left. You have to, I can't really tell you, like, you're gonna have to know, like, if you're looking at the light when going towards skating, you're able to like tell with your mind, like straight down, you know, right below me. If I keep aiming in this direction, I'll be right above the room. So just shoulder charge or RB right there and you will land, and just make sure you switch fast enough so that you're able to actually tell where you are when you come on your inventory. If you did it too far to the right, too far to the left, just you'll be able to tell. So make sure you're doing your switch fast, and then you'll be all set. Just, that's a very important part. I can't stress this enough. It's one of the most underestimated part, just like the beginning breach. Okay. Now the final part is pretty simple. Now what I actually struggled with for a while, I mean, it was easy to learn once I figured out how to do it, but what I didn't understand is that when you're out of the breach, you'll be able to see that like I garrison practically instantly out of the breach. Like once I input the left joystick B, I'm garrisoning immediately. And so basically it's hard to describe it when I'm touching my controller to hit the inputs. Once I do like left joystick B, I move my thumb and I slide it over the A button. Like I slide it, but I press it over the A button. And then when I'm sliding it when I slide above the A button, I slide it to my thumb towards B, and I spam B while moving my joystick forward towards the bridge area. I garrison immediately. So basically, in short, you want to be able to garrison like right out of the breach. You don't want to be jumping up in the air and then garrisoning. You can lose half a second or a second from it depending on how slow you are. You want to, the minute you taunt, your next input should be garrison immediately, as fast as possible. So basically, in order to garrison right out of the breach, you need to be able to press A, move your joystick where you want to, and then then press B twice to do it. So the way I do it, I slide my button after I press left joystick B, I aim my left joystick, and I slide my button over A to jump after the taunt, and then I garrison, because you'd be in the air to garrison, obviously. And then after you garrison, always do a double burst, like A, you know, A, hold A towards the breach, or towards the first part of the bridge. And so right before I land, if you're familiar with backsleys, warlock backsleys, where if you like release A too early, like let's say you, like, you know, when you brick a backslee and you release A too early and you don't actually jump, you like bounce up in the air. For this, you want to do this on purpose, because you don't want to sprint on the ground and then jump garrison. You want to land there, press A early, and then you go immediately. You won't be on the ground. You'll just, once you hit the ground, the game will input you and it will make you jump up. And then once you jump up, spam B, and then again do a double burst, and then like delay it. So press B, like, and then like maybe half a second. I don't really know how to describe it, but don't do it immediately. Just A and then hold A, and you're not gonna have your garrison most of the time. I've had it a couple of times. So most of the time, you will not have your garrison when you do a double burst. If you want your garrison and you don't get an early darkness, just do a single burst. If you want to get it consistently, do a single burst. But if you want to like lose half a second, or do the double burst, and you can delay your RBRT. A lot of people just spam RBRT like ASAP. When you're, it depends on how close you are to the bridge, but you don't have to spam RBRT. You can actually like delay like RB and RT and like give it a little bit of time in between. So you're delaying the animation, but you're still gonna make it across. Instead of doing RBRT, doing the animations really fast and not making it across. Because when you get the full animation, or not the full movement of both animations. You only actually make it when you delay it. So you can delay RB RT and obviously just 3 slashes, and make sure you're doing the slashes after you touch the ground, because if you do it like right before you touch the ground, you just do 1 RB and then you have to do the combo. It won't do the 3 combo right away. So that's something you have to be careful about. Now, there are really only a couple small details that I didn't really add, like making the movements overall tighter and faster, but this is basically just a tutorial video. You'll be able to figure out that, oh, I can turn faster, or I can do my inputs faster, or I can breach faster. You'll be able to figure out overall, or over time, not overall, but over time you'll be able to figure out, like, oh, I can do these certain things faster, so that's something you'll figure out. But basically this video showed you the majority of what you really need. Once you practice, you'll start figuring out, like, oh, okay, I see how the early wall bounce or the late wall bounce works. The same thing with the macro, even though you gotta be something to mess up a macro wall bounce. But I totally have never done that before. But anyway, yeah, if you're doing a biscuit, when you're using a macro, and some use a sword, use a tip, blah, blah, blah. If you're double skating, use a sleeper. You don't only use, just don't use anything else. Just use sleeper, catapult. And if you are jitter skating, and I don't know, using a sleeper, like, just like, why are you skating using a sleeper and not double skating? I've seen it before. Just why? No. If you were jitter skating, just use a sword. And if you're good at jitter skating, use a sleeper and double skate. Like, you just spam RT, bro, or LT, or switch your LT and RT. I don't know. Stop jitter skating when you could double skate. God damn, it's so dumb, bro. Like, just stop.